All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And dude, we really need new intro because it still says all the old information, and we only do Saturdays now, so there's no more Tuesdays and Thursdays for any of you that might be new in the chat there.
Can you believe we did that for years?
I know. It literally bore me down. But anywho, we're good now. We do the once a week, and just a reminder, folks, that next Saturday will be the Bricks Beyond Belief Lego stream instead of an actual interview. So if you want to tune in and hang out while we goof around and build things out of Lego, that's right. I got lots of Lego. It's right over there, and there'll be lots to build. So tune in for that next week. And this week we have this awesome guy right here, Mr. Michael Beverly, who does have a channel here on YouTube. And I have his website linked in the description box below, so you can go check that. And that has all of his links if you want to stalk him on the interwebs, so to say. You can do so. So let's get him a few more subs, at least tonight, you guys. I think that would be a good idea, because I've binge watched his stuff just recently, and it's some really good content on there. Now, one of the things, Michael, I want to sort of go over here really first is the comment on your page. The first thing you see is belief is the death of intelligence.
Yeah.
Can you kind of sort of give me a little backstory on how that sort of expression came up for you?
Well, I was looking for a tagline for my YouTube channel that wasn't the same normal stuff. And I ran across that. I don't know where, probably ChatGPT, probably. And I just was, I was struck by the profundity of that and what it meant. And I just really, really, really connected with it. And I realized that's what had got me in a lot of trouble in my life, is believing things. So I'm not saying, I'm not saying don't believe anything, but if you're in belief, you're not using intelligence. Like, you're just saying, I believe it. So
yeah,
it really connected with me. Now, I had a few comments in the beginning of my show from some Christians, I don't know if they were being genuine or trolling me, but they're like, that's stupid. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, if you really think about it, you come into belief for things, and you don't, when you just believe, especially if you do so as a kid or you're young, or you just take somebody's word for something, you turn off your brain to do that. So even true things, I don't want to believe, the theory of evolution. I don't want to believe the theory of evolution. I want to understand it and hold it in a position of the best, this is the best conclusion on the evidence that we have now.
And it's a tool, right?
Yeah,
it's a tool that allows you to predict other things, allows you to dig deeper into something and get into a smaller, zoomed in view. You can't just believe yourself a closer, clearer picture.
Right. And our minds can deceive us, for sure. Like, not just coming out of Christianity, but in a lot of things I've done in my life, bad investments, or, bad choices at 2 a.m. If you don't think things through, you can get in trouble. So as a guideline in my life, I try to step back and say, okay, if I'm going to accept something as being a true thing, why? Like, and I want to avoid belief. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, exactly. Good. I want to have good epistemology, and I want to be a good Bayesian. It's one of the other things that I learned in the last maybe 6 to 8 months of studying about rationality was, what does a Bayesian do? Is they kind of look at the probability of things, and then they say, okay, this is probably true. Like, we have a lot of strong evidence. Doesn't mean for sure. It means most likely. It could be 99.99%, but we just want to be fair. And we can use that in our metrics about our relationships too. Like, I believe my girlfriend loves me, but it's like, okay, there's a little bit of faith in there. And I know Christians like to dig in on that word and say, yeah, you have faith in your wife, or you have faith in, okay, it's a different domain. But there's a difference there too, because if people say to me, well, what does it mean when I say I believe my girlfriend loves me? Like, what do I mean by that? It's a different thing. It's just, there's some subtlety there that people don't like to accept, or, it's easy to discard that subtlety.
We're all out of order here. What flavor of religion were you before you became who you are now?
Okay, so when I deconstructed, I was at the Vineyard, which is a Pentecostal movement that came out of quasi evangelical conservatism, but sort of with the woo-woo mixed. Although the church that I was part of had kind of moved away from that because they realized it was very destructive. So if somebody was too woo-woo, they kicked them out, or they asked them to put a different label on their church.
We can't charge moon crystals at night. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Get
no,
them
exactly.
out of here.
No, they up at the Toronto Vineyard before they got kicked out of the Vineyard. They were having people get new gold fillings in their mouth and stuff. So it was getting a little bit crazy. So
gold fillings for what though?
For Jesus loves them, and they needed gold fillings.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, I mean you can still find videos of that on YouTube. It's hilarious. They're like, they'll be on the stage in front of thousands of people, and they'll be like, the pastor has a flashlight, and the person goes, that gold crown wasn't there. It wasn't there 10 minutes ago. So, yeah, no, I mean, it's some weird stuff. Yeah, I know. So before that, I was at the Assemblies of God on Maui because I'm originally from Hawaii, and I'd gone back with my wife and kids, and we were at like a real conservative sort of evangelical church, but it was kind of boring. And our best friends went to the Holy Rollers, and so we went with them because it was more fun. I really wasn't at that time totally down to the Holy Roller stuff. I was a little bit skeptical of it, but I liked the people, and the church was cool, and the potlucks were fun, and the music was good, et cetera, et cetera. And
it's a barbecue.
Yeah, it's a barbecue. So before that, I would say I was a middle of the road sort of. My first official as an adult church membership was Presbyterian, and that was very, very milquetoast. Very, you go to church and you sing a few hymns, and nothing.
Presbyterian is like bracketed religion.
Yeah,
like it's just there you go, religion. Nothing too fancy.
Yeah, you believe in Jesus and you try to do good stuff, and you look at the people speaking in tongues and falling on the floor as weirdos, but probably still Christians, but strange.
You claimed on your website as well that you used to speak in tongues. So how did that?
Oh, I can still speak in tongues. Holy Spirit, fall right now on my brothers. They're just now realizing I'm not really an atheist. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I can speak in tongues on command if you want. Later in the show, if anybody needs me to pray for something, a broken foot or, stomach pains, back
lottery
pains,
numbers,
migraine, anything. Lottery numbers, sure.
Car keys.
I can tell you what car keys.
Has anyone ever said to you? Okay, I didn't quite catch that. Can you repeat it? And can you do it exactly the same way that you did it the first time?
Nobody's ever asked that, but probably not. It might be similar because when you're in the tongue speaking community, you tend to follow the same. You tend to say the same stuff.
They have regional dialects of tongue speaking.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, for sure. And then they make up little words.
Shondake.
Yeah. So at our church, it was Shandala, which is close to Inshallah. So I think there's like maybe some influx. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, it's regional and it's the way people pick up slang too. When I was a kid, there was different slang words, and then over time they drop out of style and new slang words. Like when I was a kid, you smoked dope, but you can't say, like in the 90s, if you said you were smoking dope, you were a meth addict. Like, hey, dude, quit smoking dope. That's not good for you.
It's like dope. I thought you just
talking about
weed.
I still smoke dope. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So that
and now it's like dope. What?
Yeah, it's dope. Yeah, and that dope became a word for like it's cool or it's bomb. Hey, that's a bomb, man. It's real dope. But you know how it goes. So anyways, the other thing that you had mentioned, I think in the bio, is my creationism, but that was like earlier when I was Assemblies of God, like, really Pentecostal,
So what's the Assemblies of God? Like, don't they have like are they the tent people?
I think Assemblies of God will have tent revivals. Yes. But I also think, it's been a lot of years since I've been, it's probably been almost 20 years since I went to Assemblies of God. In fact, I left Maui in 1996. So however many years that is, because God, don't tell me that was 30 years ago. I can't do the math.
Dude, it almost is. It's 28. That's
Yeah, it's getting up there. So that's the last time I was in Assemblies of God. So we're talking 28 years ago. So most of my memory and my more recent Christianity would be at Vineyard, but it was very similar to Pentecostal Assemblies of God stuff with words of knowledge, praying in tongues, believing in healing, miracles are for today. I went to church with J.P. Moreland. I don't know if you know that philosopher. He's kind of a little bit nutso. J.P. Moreland. He wrote a book on miracles recently, or last couple of years. Believes in near-death experiences are proof of Jesus and God, and miracles happen all the time. I actually bought his book because I was curious. Yeah,
right,
I wanted to know what miracles he brought up, because since we went to the same church, I thought maybe I'd recognize some. But no, it was all BS, as you might imagine.
And then my friend Michael Beverly got 4 wings to replace his old wings. When I touched, it's like, okay, why don't you ever talk about the healing you did when you were like hanging out with me? That didn't happen.
Yeah, the ones that didn't happen. No, the best. You want to know what the best healing in the whole book is? And this is, I'm going to try to say this with a straight face. He didn't shit his pants before he had to go on stage and speak. I'm assuming I can say shit on your show.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so he gives this testimony, and the guys that prayed for him, I knew. In fact, I got prayer from these same men, so I know the way the whole thing's played out. He was about to speak at a conference, and he was suffering from a bad stomach, ate something bad, IBS, whatever. He's like, crap, man. I don't think I'm going to make it to the bathroom, is what he says in his book. And this guy, Ken, says, there's something wrong, JP. And he's like, yeah, my stomach, I got to go right to the bathroom. Hold on, buddy, let's pray for you. And then in his book, he doesn't actually say, I didn't shit my pants, but that's the testimony. I made it to the bathroom, okay, and then I was able to go give my talk. That was the miracle.
So there you go. Hey, there's
nothing. If you don't come to Jesus for that, you're just a goddamn skeptic who's going to hell. Because come on, that story. I mean, how can you deny that? The miracle of poop.
Right?
Yeah, the miracle poop. I had IBS for about 3 years. You want to know how I healed it?
Water.
I got a divorce. And that's a true fucking story. Yeah.
Was it stress? It was all
stress. My God. I would almost shit my pants every day. Yeah. I didn't have
IBS took on a whole different meaning in that situation, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't have a regular bowel movement for like 2 years. I finally went to the doctor. They gave me the colonoscopy, which was the worst medical procedure I've ever had in my life, and I'd just rather get cancer and die than ever have that again. So the doctor's like, mine. Yeah, well.
Neil's like, he kissed my cheek after he was finished.
Oh, it was so terrible. I mean, it was the most horrible thing. So,
yeah, they're not pleasant.
So the doctor was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You're the doctor." Like, nothing got rid of it until after I went through a divorce, and I realized I was out of stress, and then my gut normalized, and there you go. So.
We call it the butt snake here.
Yeah, the butt snake. Oh, I actually looked over I looked over to the camera for a minute, and that freaked me out. And I was like, no, I don't want to see. I'm not going to look.
They did that for me too. They had it up on the screen where they were going in there, and I'm mesmerized. I'm like, so that's what I look like on the inside.
Wow.
Huh?
And I thought he smelled bad on the outside.
On the outside.
Yeah, no thanks.
It's like a tauntaun point of view.
That was perfect. So you also mentioned you used to like pray in the streets and stuff. Like, were you praying like out loud so that other people could hear you? Like, I used to see Jehovah's Witnesses doing that all the time. So
yeah, no, it wasn't that kind of thing. It was setting up a booth. In fact, you can still find the pastor that tutored me in this. It used to be called Need Prayer, like Got Milk, the same type. Got Milk and Need Prayer. So we would just
got evidence.
Yeah, exactly. So we would set up a little easy up with a couple chairs and a sign that said "Need Prayer." And now I'll give the guy credit. He was a very, and I imagine he still is. He was a very nice guy, and he genuinely believed. Like he wasn't one of the guys doing it for money or any. He was kind. And he never harassed people. He never went and grabbed people. Like we never would. Yeah. We would never preach it in the street and annoy people. You had to come to us and actually ask for it. So I will give credit where credit's due. So it was still bullshit, of course, but it was nice bullshit, and it made people feel good sometimes.
Just a quick mention
either
here.
You guys need prayer. I can still do that shit. You know, if you got
no,
something.
no, I'm good.
Are you good?
I'm so sleepy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long day for.
I could just go talk to the cat in the other room and expect the same results.
Yeah, pretty much.
Zero, what do you think I should do about this problem? Come here a little bit.
And you were a missionary too.
Well, not an official missionary. I went on some mission trips. I actually came down here to Mexico, although not this far south, a couple times with the high school group, and I went to Northern Ireland once, which is a funny story. You can ask me about this later if you want, but when we talk maybe more about my experience. But what happened with my old church that got sparked on that was a $60 million theft. And I'm not joking.
Ooh.
60 million. Yeah.
You steal the Mona Lisa?
Wow. Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, we went over to Northern Ireland to do this stuff they do in the summer. In fact, that was the first time I did prayer in the streets for healing. So their program was called HOTS, healing on the streets. I think healing on the streets. Yeah, HOTS.
Okay.
Christians love their little acronyms.
That's not bad, actually. Damn.
Yeah. So HOTS. So HOTS was a a short training program where you go on these little mission trips and you do different training things. We went knocking door to door, handing out light bulbs. That was their other gimmick. They'd knock on the door and say, "Hey, we brought you a free light bulb." People are like, "What are you bringing us a light bulb for?" Well, let me tell you about Jesus. So and then they also did a few nice things. They would ask people if they needed the front lawn mowed or something nice. So there was some practical good they did, but mostly it was just narcissistic BS.
It was like a compliment and then like a handout, but it also had a little string attached to the back of it, you see?
Yeah.
And I'm going to cut your grass, you see, but then I'm going to stand in your doorway for 45 hours, drinking all your lemonade, blathering on about nonsense.
Yeah, you gave him lemonade? What the hell?
About Jesus and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit's here right now, you can tell.
I'm going to say this real quick because it's a little warm here in the States. If you have anybody who's doing like yard work or your garbage people, give them a Monster.
Yeah.
Just go get a 4-pack of Monsters and then wait for trash day. And you just once every week, just give them a Monster.
Or just bottles of water too.
Yep.
I appreciate that as well.
Get them both. Get them a water and a Monster. That's what I do for my guy. He'll take anything.
Down here in Mexico, they do the same thing, but with beer or cash.
Oh, I like that.
Mostly cash. It's weird here. So the garbage here isn't
I like the beer part.
the garbage here, they go through the streets with a bell, like a cowbell, and you take your garbage out that way.
Bring out your dead.
The street dogs don't tear it up and make a mess in the street.
All right.
But they come through almost like 5 or 6 days a week. The trash guy comes through, so you're never sitting here with cans rotting for a week like you do in the States. And you never panic if you miss trash day like I used to in California. Like, oh crap, we missed trash day. There's going to be stench and maggots. And no, that doesn't happen here. You miss trash day, they're coming the next day. In fact, my girlfriend does remodeling stuff. We're actually remodeling the apartment we're in. It's a rental. We're going to move out once it's done. Mm-hmm. And she just gets on the phone. She's like, hey, she'll send him a picture on WhatsApp. The construction debris is this pile of crap. What's it going to cost? And the guy will be like, yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes. It's 150 pesos. And she's like, Michael, take all this trash to the street. Yeah. It's like $8 or $9.
A better land.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's pretty cheap. It's not like here in Canada where everything costs you a fucking left testicle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's sweet. A couple of my friends are snowbirds from Canada and live here during the winter. And it's cheap and
so my dad used to go down
cheap.
there.
Yeah. There's a lot of. There's a lot more people here now than there were when I first got here. It was very rare to hear someone speak in English or see other tourists or gringos. But now it's a lot more. Yeah, somebody says 5 days a week trash. How do I get over the wall? That's the other beautiful thing. There ain't no wall coming down. They're like, welcome to Mexico. Even during COVID, the president's like, Jesus protects the babies. Welcome to Mexico. You're more than welcome in Mexico. Come on over. In here. Yeah, you can come to Mexico. It doesn't matter. You don't even need a passport. Just walk across the line with the Mexicans. Come on down. Be free.
Would you like to buy some stuff? We have many things for you to purchase. Give us all your money, please. Spend it here.
Apparently,
Yeah,
I
it's cheap.
can
It's cheap
regrow
to
my
live here.
testicles,
It's
according to Doorknob Head.
yeah.
Anyway, I kind of want to know. So, what were some of the first things that sort of made you start doubting your faith, and what kind of things was it that were starting to give you questions in your mind?
Okay, well, my story is a little bit unusual than most stories, and
Okay,
I can
you're
cuss,
on the
right?
right show.
I can
Fuck
cuss,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
fuck yeah. I don't give a shit.
Fuck yeah.
I was going through a crisis, and it was very, very ugly, and these motherfucking pieces of shit treated me so badly. I said, God cannot possibly be true because I trusted you guys. I trusted you. I believed in God as part of this community. In fact, one of my good friends was a pastor who I went on missions trips, wrote a book, and preached on community constantly. That was his catchphrase besides inshallah. Community. We're a community. You know, it's like that silly Rings of Power episode 1 where the proto hobbits sing nobody goes off trail, nobody gets left behind, and then as soon as the hobbits get left, they're a little behind and they're like, okay, you guys are gonna die, sorry. It's exactly like that.
Goodbye
right?
forever.
Yeah. So I've never shared publicly all the details, so I'm not gonna tonight, especially because it includes third parties. At some point I may tell more details, but just imagine it involved things that are sexual, other people, going through a divorce, and a lot of ugliness at a mega church where how appearances are. And my mom was a pastor there, so that it's very. And I'm friends with a lot of pastors, and I know a lot of inside stuff. So when I started getting in fights with people, I had ammunition, and they did not like that at all. They did not like me. I was posting white papers on the internet and sending the link out to massive email lists, and they fucking hated me, and I hated them. And at the end of the day, so let me go back in time a little bit. My dad is an atheist and has always been an atheist, but my parents divorced when I was very, very young. So my mom influenced me. My mom took me to church. So a few years before all this happened, my dad sent me The God Delusion by Dawkins, which I read about 4 pages of and put on the shelf. Like, okay, thanks for the book, Dad. You know, and that was it. And, you know, my dad and I over the years would have a few little conversations. Like once in a while, he'd send me a non-stamp collector YouTube clip or something, but I never paid attention to it really. And he never gave me shit. We never fought about anything. And I always loved my dad, but he was an absent dad. So he had no like real influence on how I thought or how I grew up. And I was very much in love with Jesus. And my mom's a pastor. Like I'm on board 100%.
Yeah. We can see that for sure. Yeah.
When I went through the first phase, so it's not like I was thinking about this for years or, you know, doubting my faith. I had no doubts. I was 100% on board for Jesus. When the worst things that happened to me in this community of people that I loved and I thought were my brothers and sisters in Christ, when that started happening, I said, holy shit, there's something wrong here. And I actually went to a pastor who was being very nice to me. I was going to his house for home groups and he was kind of mentoring me. And he was friends with the pastor that I was going to the need prayer thing. So some of this was near the end. I was desperately fighting to save my faith, which is why I was now speaking in tongues and praying in the streets and going to home groups and churches and Bible studies and reading, because I really believed and I wanted to live the best I could for Jesus. And I went to this pastor at one point and I said, I'm starting to question things. And I picked up Dawkins and he's like, well, if you're going to be an atheist, go all in and study and, be real, like be true to it. And I really respected him for that. Like, I don't know that it worked the way he expected it to, but I did. I just said, okay, I'm going to read this book. And, I thought about the biggest thing that Dawkins in that book impressed on me was there's no such thing as a Catholic child or a Muslim child. Like children are children. They don't, they can't know anything. They're You know,
Right.
I'm
You're born
paraphrasing a
without
little
knowledge
bit.
of anything, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. And so that really struck me. It's like, wait a minute. My mom's a pastor. My mom took me to church. I've never studied any other faith. I'm like, I've just been a Christian. So
Mhm.
that really impressed
Accident
me.
of birth.
So what pushed me over the edge in terms of like really embracing the idea that maybe this is all not true was another book I picked up. This is the second deconstruction book that I read. It's probably not that even popular, but it's by a guy named William Lobdell. It's called Losing My Religion and How I
Oh,
Found
yes.
Unexpected Peace. And he was a LA Times religion reporter who got sucked into the Catholic fiasco as a Catholic, as a reporter. So he had started off as an evangelical and ended up, him and his wife decided to go become Catholic. So they're going to the Catholic church and he's reporting on these things. And it rocked their world enough that they said that, you know, like this can't be true. And when I read his book, it came at the right time because I'm thinking, this can't be true. And my reason for why it can't be true is because if it was true, people couldn't be this evil in the church, or God is just a monster, right? Like if God is letting his leaders, like what happened to me, what happened to me from the church leaders obviously wasn't sexual. I'm not saying that, but it was like being raped. I felt mind raped. I felt humiliated, destroyed, thrown away like a piece of garbage. And I'm like, how could you treat me this way after all these years I've spent, you know, being taught by you that we're a community, we're about forgiveness, we're
Right.
about love. And I was telling somebody, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, you know, I never considered going to another church, which I know a lot of people when they're deconstruction think, well, maybe being a Calvinist is too ridiculous. Calvinism is kind of gross. I'm going to become a Baptist, or maybe being a Baptist is
Calvinism's
too
gross.
Yeah, you know. So I never thought that. And I thought to myself, I wonder why I didn't really think that. And the answer is, you know, this is me today saying, the answer is, I think back then I realized if I had been this fooled, this deceived, this on board, this on fire, I'm not going to be fooled again. No. How could I trust myself? How could I go to another church? It's the people I loved and trusted. And I had seen myself spending the rest of my Christian walk with them. They're the devil. They're the real devils, or they're complete. They're such hypocrites and such liars and so mean. It can't be true unless God's a meanie. But the final test, and I don't know how many people have ever done this.
Is, if you read a lot of the Old Testament, he certainly is.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up with.
Yeah, that he's just a monster. He's just a monster. So
my friend Chris in the audience calls him the evil Abrahamic God monster. So
yes, well, I agree. But here's the weird thing: I was a part of a Christian, which I'm sure many of you guys know, didn't study this stuff. Like you didn't. Right. I didn't even know who Bart
you didn't
Ehrman
have to
was.
because you had preachers to tell you.
Yes, like come on. I mean, and I'm not saying Bart Ehrman is the god in the atheist circle of history, but Bart Ehrman's smart, and I didn't even know who he was. Right? I should have at least been exposed to some of the counter arguments, and I didn't even know what they were.
Yeah.
So, you know, after I had deconstructed is when I started watching YouTube videos, and you know, this was 2000 and I want to say 2012. So it's the heyday of Hitchens and Dawkins.
Yeah, it's about what I tuned into all that stuff too.
Yeah. So I actually saw Lawrence Krauss and Dawkins and Cal Poly Pomona talk, and I watched a lot of videos. I watched the Robert Price, Bart Ehrman debate. Now, I never even would have known that existed had I been in my old self, because there was no reason to question it, right? There's no reason to think about that you're not right. So when I realized I wasn't right, it was kind of like, I'm just done. Like I spent a little bit of time just being pissed off at God. Like, and somebody an atheist actually said to me, and a family member who was a lifelong atheist, which on my dad's side of the family, because most of them are non-believers, not all, but a good portion. He said, are you mad at God or you don't believe he exists? Because you need to pick one or the other. And I'm like, yeah, that is a good. I mean, but that struck home with me. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Right.
I can't, like if God's real and being mad at him's pointless. And if he's not real, then being mad at him's pointless. So I got to quit being mad at God and I figure out. And at the end I said, okay, God isn't real and I'm mad at the people. Oh, but what I was going to say is the final test for me was I prayed to Satan and I said, Satan, I hate these motherfuckers so much. If you show up right now, I will do whatever bad shit you want me to do. You just show up in the room and I'll be your servant. Cause I just want to, like if you exist, fucking show up. Like Jesus didn't show up. Satan.
Anybody home?
Satan didn't. Satan ignored me too.
I'm sorry, Michael. I was busy that day. What can I tell you?
Yeah, Satan was busy.
I'm ready to hear everything you got to say now. So.
Oh, now you're there. Hey, can you help me lose weight without diet and exercise? And
yeah, no.
I got this I got this white powder. I got this white powdery substance. It'll take care of most of that.
Most. Oh yeah. Well, there's a little bit of truth to that. Like
that's what I did in the 30s.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, can't focus? Have a little of my special elixir.
A little devil's weed.
Cough syrup and Coke.
Cough syrup, Coke.
People up.
Yeah. Hey, it works.
Yeah, I bet it did.
Well, yeah.
What headache?
Yes. What pain? Jesus healed me. Jesus and this cough syrup.
Man, me and this cough syrup go way back.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would have done if Satan had actually shown up. I mean, that would have been weird. Like, oh shit, maybe I don't want to serve you after all. And he'd been, Bonner, you already agreed. And I'm like, shit, yeah, well, okay,
fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Fair. I made a deal.
That's
if you think about it. If you think about it, he's the cool one, anyways, right? He had all the good
this is what I tell Christians. Yeah, 100%. I tell Christians this all the time. I said, look. If the story is true, Satan actually stood up to the totalitarian dictator, and I'm on his side. I don't give in to totalitarians, and I don't want to be treated nicely by force. That doesn't I mean, this is basic stuff that I think, on the atheist side, we just totally groped this, but on the other side, they look at it like, what are you talking about? I'm talking about if you told your wife, listen, if you don't love me, I'm going to kill you. She might not be very affectionate to you. Do you get it? Yeah, same thing with God, right?
And for
join the temple, my friend. Become a card-carrying member.
All right. Do you have that in Mexico?
I believe you just go online and order it from them directly, and you can get it, and you get a little certificate and everything. And I got a T-shirt. Yeah.
Wow.
All over the flat Earth, you can find those things.
All over the flat Earth, yeah.
Here's the funny thing. If I had no conscience and wasn't empathetic and kind and a good person, I would start a Christian cult, because I know how to play. Man, I would make so much money.
It's good cash.
Oh, and you won't imagine all of the young women and unhappy wives I'd be sleeping with, and all the cocaine I'd be doing in the back.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what the butlers, that's what the ushers are for. And the deacons go out and procure for the pastor.
Hey, it's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it.
That's right. It's trickle up. It's crackonomics. So did you after the traditional kind of Christian faith fell away, did you have any pagan phase, woo phase, kind of I'm a space alien? That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm a space alien kind of. Did you try anything else after the initial shock?
So this happened in Orange County, California. Anaheim, Disneyland, the Angels. Yeah. It's very white. Not only did I not have any
flag.
Yeah, filthy. Yeah, Orange County. Yeah, the seal, the Great Orange. Yeah. So
Filthy Americans on the Ben Podcast Networks, where me and Brenna talk politics. She's from Orange County, and I'm in Chicago.
Oh, sweet. Yep. Well, if you want to talk about, if you ever want somebody to come rant and rave how much they hate Orange County,
Yeah.
I'm your guy. I fucking
Yes.
hate if no. This is a serious thing. Like I normally I'm not a pacifist, but I'm about as close to a pacifist as you can be. I'm very much peace loving. You know, I don't own guns. I don't like
Mhm.
violence. But if I could push a button and have every Orange County police officer, DA, and judge drop dead with a heart attack, I would push the button so fast
On Minecraft. Yep.
yeah, on Minecraft. Yeah. No, I absolutely hate Orange County with every being. Maybe I need some therapy and healing, but yeah, I hate Orange County. But anyways, I'm in Orange County.
For you international folks, even though California seems like a highly like blue Democrats everywhere, not in Orange County. And like Bakersfield and shit like that. Like there's a little pockets of little MAGA peoples inside these blue oases. So
Yeah, Orange County. I mean, I'm sure it's changed since I've left, or maybe it's changed over years. Buena Park. Yeah, I worked in Buena Park. I used to get up at 6 a.m. and drive to Buena Park and go to work my job. And we did a lot of work in LA County, but my boss lived in Buena Park and then went to Knott's Berry Farm, Halloween.
Yeah, I've been there
Knott's
too.
Berry
It's so
Farm,
much
all
fun.
that stuff. I did pretty much anything you can imagine. The Orange County stuff. Used to get on the bus to go down to Huntington Beach back before Ubers and cell phones and stuff. You know, you'd make sure you have a quarter so you could call mom later and tell her you didn't drown. And you know, those were the days.
Orange County was not named after Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyways, I forget where we're going with this conversation, but that's where I was. Oh, I know where I was going. You were asking about the woo-woo phase. Yeah. I went online and typed in how do atheists make friends, because all my friends ditched me, right? And
yeah, that happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, now I look back and say, okay, fine, good riddance. But at the time, it was this
unnerving.
God's honest truth. One night, it was me, 2 bottles of sleeping pills, and a 5th of vodka, and I deliberately drove to the store, they were on sale at CVS 2 for 1, so I went ahead and bought 2 bottles because if you're going to off yourself, you might as well be prepared. Mm-hmm. So I got 400 sleeping pills and a 5th of vodka, and I'm sitting in front of my computer, and I'm like, I'm done. Like, I can't go on. This is done. I am fucking done. But I did call my son, and I'm on the phone crying with my son. You never want to have this call with your kid, but I couldn't call my dad. My dad would have told me, just go ahead and take him.
Would not have been helpful.
Yeah. So I'm on the phone with my son, and like, I can't even remember what he said to me, but he walked me off the edge, and I'm like, okay, I'll decide to work shit out, which eventually I work shit out. Anyways, so meetup.com is what came up on a Google search, and I started going, this is how I ended up at Cal Poly, Pomona, seeing like Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss. So I got right plugged into the scientific naturalist community. So to answer your question, no, I never got into any of the woo-woo because those people were idiots too, like the Christians.
I know, I was there.
Yeah. So anyways, it wasn't until, and you come out of Christianity and you keep on certain things like sex with prostitutes, yucky. You got to be in love. Sex one night stands, yucky. Doesn't it? You got to be in love.
I don't know what her name was.
Acid and mushrooms is bad, and cocaine's bad, and blah 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 blah. It's all bad. It's all fucking bad.
Yeah, shrimp's fine though.
Yeah, shrimp's good. Shrimp's all right.
Not
so when I spent a few years in that mindset, right? You carry with you they're little programs, right? They're in your head. You think of somebody doing cocaine and you automatically think that's a bad person. They're doing bad things. They have no respect for themselves, blah, 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 blah. The first woman in Mexico that gave me her phone number then told me she was a sex worker in the text message. I text her back, I only want to be in love. I don't, and she was good looking too. But, I was like still kind of a sort of a goody goody. But the reality struck. So to answer the question about woo, this is years later when I finally took mushrooms and practiced good practices with psychedelics. I mean, we're on YouTube here, so I'm not endorsing drugs, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had some great
I
fucking
know.
times.
And there's a lot of scientific evidence that microdosing stuff like that can help with depression and stuff like that. They're still
for
digging
sure.
to
For
get
sure.
to the heart of it all, because
Yeah.
right now it's a matter of specific dosaging. They're trying to figure that out.
Because I mean, for us to get any kind of study on that kind of stuff, you need people with equal trauma to be a control. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Equal life experiences that are equally off-putting. So it's hard to test all that stuff, but it's hard to tell somebody who's having night terrors every night, and then they try DMT or they try they eat some mushrooms and they wig way out, but then they sleep like a baby for a week. I don't know what's going on, but I know it works. So
microdosing doesn't make you wig out. So
Yeah.
No,
Well, I did.
Even if people need to just take a trip every weekend to just kind of recenter themselves and just connect, get whatever baggage that they carry, because that's essentially what it is you just pick up stuff and then you refuse to put it down. So then you're walking around through life and you have armfuls of baggage that you just carry every day. And then you eat that little mushroom and your arms go down. And so then you can try to be yourself again and figure out what's wrong with you before you pick the stuff back up again.
Right. Yeah, no, 100% endorse that. And the first time I did mushrooms, the re-engaging my brain for many money, even a year later, I could tell people about that trip. I went with a friend, like camping, and we were doing more than mushrooms. We were doing drinking tequila and smoking some weed. But I was so happy and so relieved of stuff that I could relive that experience, talking to people about it, and feel like serotonin and endorphins and the happiness. Yeah. So for sure. But then later I got sucked into the partying scene where we were going out every weekend.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That was just fun.
Just insanity. Yes. Complete insanity. So yeah, I found out the church lied to me. I mean, one of the things I did, it's shocking, isn't it?
Sons of bitches.
So I wasn't even here a year, maybe a year. I was here and I was just starting to kind of get into the party scene. And I was at a club one time and this gay guy picked up on me. So I'm like, yeah, okay, let's try it. So later that night, we were getting kicked out of the bathroom trading blowjobs. And I'm like, I'm finally not carrying any vestige of Christianity with me no more. I went and told all my friends. You wouldn't believe what I did last night. What? Well, I went into the bathroom at Galaxy and we were trading blowjobs. You did what?
You make it sound like hockey cards. Got him, need him, got him.
Now later when I met my soon-to-be wife, now she's pregnant, so we're gonna get married. She hates that. She gives me shit constantly about that, my gay experiences, and she's like, so yeah, she's actually a horrendous, terrible, mean person about that. But
let that be honest.
That's it. She carries a lot of baggage too. So we have quite a few fights about that, but mostly she's a good sport. But there is there's a cultural thing. So she was never religious. She's an atheist, but there's a cultural stigma to being penetrated. So that was her biggest thing. Were you penetrated? I'm like, no, I wasn't fucking penetrated. We're talking blowjobs. I did fuck somebody, but he was the bottom, and I'm pretty much a top. Like I have a gay friend who's a top, straight a top. Like he's married actually, and his husband is totally a bottom and is very effeminate and carries purses and dresses totally different because that's his persona. That's his thing. And there's just a role here, and we sit around and commiserate about, just like talking to anybody back in my Christian days about being married. He bitches about his husband like my old Christian friends bitched about their wives. Oh, you wouldn't believe he wanted to do this and I bought all this stuff for him and he never even touched it. And I'm like, yeah, that's typical.
So when I said it's time to be ready to go at 8:30, guess what time he comes down to? 8:15. He's got a towel on his head. We gotta get going.
Exactly. No, and he's Mexican too, so you can double that. Yeah. In Mexico, being on time is an hour and a half late. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just you just have to get used to it. But
over there.
Yeah. So yeah, they're always late, but they're extra late because of him. No, the funniest one is when we came out of COVID, we decided, okay, we're not going to do this COVID bullshit anymore. We're just going to party. Well, none of the clubs were open. So my house I had 2 daughters.
You were the club.
I was the club. Yeah. We would,
Yeah.
I used to hire this DJ because he didn't have any work. So he'd work kind of cheap. And I'd invite my drug dealer over. So I just say, look, just come to the party and bring stuff because there'll be all my friends here. There's nowhere else to fucking go in the city. The police were out every somebody just wrote in the comments, colonoscopy.
Just for you there, Michael.
100%. Yes. No, I'm actually fine with one finger, but anything more than that fucking hurts. So it's like, okay, just one finger's fine, but no machine with a camera. No. But anyways, yeah,
just pull a house and treat it anyway. Just pull a house,
Yeah.
just treat it. Don't look, just treat it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't. Yeah, I'll be there in 10 minutes, even though you arrive an hour later. Is 100% Mexico. That's exactly how it is. Anyways, what I was going to say is this was back when my friend was still dating his now husband, and my friend's at the time boyfriend was always the one that would get so drunk he couldn't walk, and we'd be like, dude, just go. Like, I'm going to stay up till probably 6 or 7 in the morning. Just go sleep on my bed. The bedroom's yours. No, I need to go home. Get me an Uber right now. I'm leaving without. Give me the car keys. I'm like, oh, you're not driving. You can't even walk. How are you going to drive? Give me the car keys. Yeah. So they would play that scenario out almost every party. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, they're really good friends of mine, and we joke about this stuff all the time. Super fun.
So do you think your religious baggage kind of suppressed like parts of your sexuality where you just kind of, it might have been there before. It's like, oh, I would never act on it. But then once you're like, you know what, I'm fucking pissed off. These guys fucking lied to me.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes. Like, was it kind of one of
it's the second one. These guys lied to me. I'm going to see because I had been told since I was a kid, never mind even Christianity. I had been told by my government, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. It's evil.
Yeah.
That happened outside of Christianity, but Christianity doubled down on it. And the number one for me was acid. I had always been told that acid is so dangerous and so terrible and blah, 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 blah. And once I realized how amazing fucking acid was, I never partied ever without acid. I did acid in Coke. I did acid in mushrooms. I did acid in ketamine. I did acid in tequila. I did acid in weed. I did acid with everything. It was just like a hors d'oeuvre on whatever drugs I was doing.
It was like the main course, and anything else was a side dish.
Exactly. It's like, okay, so fuck you guys. You lied to me. So I think the homosexual part was like, I've always been told it's wrong and a sin and it's bad, but I also been told, you know how you are when you in high school and it's like, oh, that's gross, and then you grow up and it's like you're kind of as a Christian. So this is a Christian thing. It's like, you ever wonder why we kind of like it when lesbians kiss, but we find it gross when men's are kissed? Isn't that kind of weird? Yeah. And we'd be like, yeah, men kissing is really gross, but I kind of like, this is sort of a secret sin. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Jesus. It's not that I'm watching porn, but 2 lesbians.
But I'm watching porn.
Yeah. So when I came out of that, it's like, wait, I still think it's hot when 2 women kiss, but maybe I should challenge and this was the other thing you realize when you come out of that is maybe everything I believe is bullshit. like how do I know? Like I fell for the most stupid fucking lie. So obviously I'm easily deceived. Maybe everything that I believe is not necessarily true. And so I sort of needed to find out. And yeah, now I live kind of like a boring married couple, but I went through that phase and I had a lot of fun. I mean, I partied. There was a point, probably a year and a half, I partied every weekend. I mean, it was insane. People were like, aren't you a little bit old to be doing this? Yeah, but I'm making up for my 20s. I never did this in my 20s. I was raising kids. I had my first kid at 20 and the second one at 22. So I raised 2 kids and they're off being responsible. Well, one of them's off being a responsible adult. The other one's in the other room. And I won't say the shit she was doing because she just took the bar and she's about to be an attorney and she has to pass these personality shit things. And
congrats on passing the bar.
Well, she hasn't got notified that she passed yet, so she's in that phase of having taken it, not knowing, And her brother took it 3 times. So her older brother's a lawyer too. He took the bar 3 times. So I said, just as long as you pass it on the first or second time, you'll be fine. But if you fail at 3, you know.
But can't you get like essentially 100% correct on like all the stuff? But if there's just not enough, like if they don't want that many lawyers, then they're going to say, okay, we're going to take the top 100. And even if you got 100% on all your stuff, you're number 105. So you technically didn't pass the bar because they can control how many attorneys.
That could be true. I don't know. I did. So I got, in my second marriage, I had another kid. She's the scientist. She did neuroscience studies at UC Santa Barbara. And
Cool.
she's actually the one that I'm proud of because she's like wants to be a scientist and not a fucking lawyer. Like the world needs another lawyer. So yeah, she was a good. But she moved in with me too because all the UCs closed down for COVID. So for me, it was kind of cool. I had 2 daughters. A friend of mine that left California and from the skeptic community came down, and then my platonic girlfriend moved in with us because we convinced her she'd hate life if she didn't. So there were 6 of us in this wonderful party house, which we didn't open the doors at first. We stayed totally locked down. We were like baking shit, and we had a schedule for who would cook, and we had like breakfast together and dinner together. And
sounds fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we were going out of our freaking minds.
Well, yeah, lockdown.
We played a lot of board games. We played a lot of board games and baked a lot of chocolate chip cookies and gained a lot of weight. And then my older daughter's boyfriend was living with us, and he started lifting weights. And this motherfucker went from a skinny pole to now he's like the Hulk. Yeah, he's super tall and handsome, and he's built like, super muscular.
So Dwayne The Rock Johnson moved in.
Yeah, Dwayne The Rock. Well, no, he moved in as the skinny guy and became The Rock.
Moved in as Banner and then became the Hulk.
Yeah. So he was the other member of our 6, my now son-in-law, but at the time it was just a boyfriend. Yeah, she met him at a club one night, and she lied about her age and he lied about his age. It was really funny. How old is he? Because he looks 16. Oh no, he's 22. And then she's like, how old did you tell him you were? I know she lied. She took about 6 years off of her age, so they were actually kind of close in age, but really like 12 or 13 years apart. But 2 weeks later, his Catholic parents freaked out. So I wake up one morning and she's like, Dad, Andre's moved in. I go, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Another one doesn't matter. And I go, but why did he move in? You guys have only been dating a few weeks. Well, the parents were going to send him off to Catholic reform school to heal him from this damage I've caused him, And so he quit school, quit his job, and he's moved in, and he just became the sugar baby for like 2 years. And him and that's how we got to be sugar baby. That's how he became the muscular rock, because he didn't have to do anything except party and work out. Yeah. He doesn't want me to talk.
That's what I'm doing wrong.
He doesn't want me to talk about all the drugs him and I did together, so I won't. Like, we didn't do any. Yeah. We were never at the clubs doing acid. Never tell us that. I would never tell you I was doing tons of drugs with my future son-in-law. No. That would never happen. He's a good kid. He's about to start school. They're actually in Texas now, so she's going to be a corporate lawyer and he's going to be a student.
She's going to be a corporate lawyer.
Yeah, she's already got her job lined up and shit. Yeah.
Wow. Shit.
But she's a good person. She's an atheist and very progressive. And yeah, in fact, the reason she ended up living with me for that time is she was offered a full ride to law school in Alabama. And she said, no, fuck, you guys hate women. I'm not going to your state. Yeah, even if school's free. Even if school's free, fuck you. So she's like, I'm going to study for the LSAT longer. Dad, I'm moving. Yeah, she just called me up and said, Dad, I'm moving in with you. Kick out your roommate because I'm not sharing my bathroom with with another girl. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I got rid of my roommate, unfortunately, sadly. Then we lived together. We did the whole COVID thing. And then my other daughter. So when we opened up the party house, one of my friends bought this guy. And, oh, hey, Michael, I want you to meet this guy. He's really cool. And a couple weeks later, my daughter left the party and never came home. I'm like, where? They're married now. So.
Okay. So it turned out okay.
Yeah, two daughters got married from boyfriends they met partying with their dad. You can't complain about that too much.
Well, at least they've made it through the vetting process, which is probably, hey, eat this, lick that, and take this shot with me, or you're never seeing her again.
Yeah. Well, the
Put 'em
one
to
was
gauntlet.
the one guy. So the younger one that we met at a club. They just met at a club. There was no big deal there. We got along right away. The other guy that was a friend of mine was much older than my daughter, and he was worried. Plus, he's a friend of mine. So my daughter actually came up to me slightly inebriated, and she said, "Dad, will you go talk to him because I want to fuck, and he's afraid of you." And I'm like, "Yeah, where is he? I'll straighten him up." But somebody else got to him and said, "Nah, Michael doesn't interfere with his daughter's sexual lives. That's the last place I want to be telling anyone what to do."
I have a new one. Mine is 1.5 years. I got the 2023 model daughter.
2023, the 2023 model. Wow, cool. Congratulations. Yeah. So I'm having another one.
I'm looking forward to having I mean, this seems like a well thought out strategy. Have the party house be my house. Oh, wait, first create second pandemic, then make my house the party house.
I'll get to work for that.
Thank you, Neil.
Yeah. Then, well, the thing is that, so this is another thing I was always told as a Christian: don't be friends with your kids. Don't, like they're your kids. You're the man.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, of course it's nonsense. It's complete fucking bullshit. Now, I didn't really buy onto it back then, although I was very strict. That's the irony of my daughter. We didn't have a falling out like where we fought, but she quit going to church, and you sure you don't want to go to church, hon? She's like, "No, Dad, don't talk about this. I have no interest in going to church with you," and change the subject. And then, so she got out first. And then, now we can talk about it. It's very interesting. So we still had a good friendly relationship back then, but I was still judgmental. And of course, I'm not going to be drinking beers and partying and doing drugs around them back in the Christian days. But later, you come out of it. Actually, both of my daughters ended up as atheists, and we can talk about any subject and nothing's off limits. And I mean, some things are kind of uncomfortable, but
so let me dig here because I'm a new parent here. So I think there is that fine line of letting them be themselves, letting them experience things, but also kind of like, I mean, if your daughter was 17 or something like that, she's like, you know what? I think I'm going to go be a nun. I think you'd have been like, you wouldn't say, no, you're stupid. That's a dumb thing to do with your life. But you'd also kind of be like,
yeah.
Have you read the Bible?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm assuming because so when I became an atheist and left the church, my youngest was I want to say 10, 11 or so. And she deconstructed on her own. Although people accuse me of influencing her, and I'm like, I don't tell my kids what to think or do. Like, we argue about stuff. Sure. So I think that's the key. Talk about stuff and be honest. Like, I think, I think it's always good to be honest about how you feel, but respect the fact. So here's the thing a lot of parents do is like, shut the fuck up. I'm the parent.
Yeah.
I did not like that. Even as a Christian, I did not like that attitude. You being the parent doesn't make something true or good. Like, you should be able
parent,
to have,
not their owner.
Yes, that's exactly right. I
am the administrator on this account.
Yes, I will do as I say. Do as I say. Yeah. So I think I'll be a much different parent now, starting from complete scratch with, like I said, my girlfriend's an atheist too. So there's going to be like no religion pushed on this new one from birth. The youngest one, because she came out of it kind of early, has sort of a different perspective on things, but both of them are pretty good. Now, my son, who's the oldest, still believes there's a God. And we had this argument the other day, and he basically Pascal's wagered me. I'm like, motherfucker, that's Pascal's wager, you dumbass. And he goes, yeah, I know, Dad. I want to, if I die and this Christianity stuff's true, I want to be in heaven. I go, that's the dumbest fucking thing. And he goes, yeah, but you're going to be in hell, Dad, and I'll be in heaven. I go, you're a stupid fucking idiot.
Okay, and he's okay with that? Are you okay with that?
He doesn't really believe it. He's
trolling.
Okay.
I don't know what he really believes. Like, he can't not believe in a God, but I don't really think he really believes I'm going to hell and he's going to be in heaven. But he's still holding on to that Pascal's wager. Like, he can't say, like, when I asked him, is
Many
anything
do.
about the Christian story true? Like, what do you think is really, really true? And he goes, I don't know. I don't really think any of it's true. Like, well, why the fuck do you still believe in God then?
Because he's scared of hell.
Yeah, no, he is. He's scared of hell.
Yeah, the hell fear.
Yeah, so that's fine. And he doesn't act like a Christian. He doesn't go to church. He does whatever he wants. He lives his life normal, like a normal person. But he just still believes. He just has that, I believe.
Lingering belief.
Yeah, if you ask him, he says he believes in God. But yeah, it's, whatever. I can talk to him about anything. Like, he would never do. He's also in the military, but like, he would never do drugs or anything like that, partly because of his job. He's an attorney, he's in the military, but also partly because he still believes there's still kind of that over, you guys know what I'm saying, right? It's still like there's this, this feeling that maybe I need to be good, or, maybe I need to believe still.
Raised in Judaism, there's no hell for Judaism. So,
yeah.
I mean, the closest they come is what? Sheol, which is like just a wandering bunch of souls or something. I don't know. But anyway, there is
that sounds worse.
Actually, there's no hell in the Bible either, right? So, and there's no Satan either. Like, the devil isn't a thing; it's an invention that came later.
Yeah, so. No, for sure. The adversary, and becomes
Hasatan, which means the adversary. I speak Hebrew, so.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, no, I'm a Jew. I did my bar mitzvah just a couple years ago here in Mexico too. You never see Jews here. Well, you never see Jews in fucking Guadalajara. So there's these two guys sitting with their yarmulkes having a beer and smoking cigarettes. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Right. And they're like, we're
Jerusalem.
We're here on business. No, they were from Israel, not Jerusalem, but they were from Israel, and they were here. They're music producers
in Israel, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I said to them, yeah, by birthright, like, I'm a Jew. My mom's a Jew, or my mom was a Jew. She's dead now, but whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, why don't you join us? Well, I was with my girlfriend, and we were walking the dogs. So I'm like, yeah, I need to take the dogs home. And they're like, wait a minute, would you do this blah, blah, blah thing? And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? I don't care. You guys do know I'm an atheist, right? And they're like, it doesn't matter. Next thing I know, they're wrapping me with black leather and having me repeat Hebrew words.
The Tullies.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, this is totally fun. And they're like, come back and have a drink with us. So I took the dogs home after we did that. And they said, that was your bar mitzvah. Welcome home.
Barf mitzvah.
Barf mitzvah. Hey, if you're ever in Israel, look us up. And I'm like, thanks. You guys are super nice. And they're smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, but they won't eat food from this Mexican restaurant because it's not. And they're like, yeah, we got to go back to the hotel so we can get something to eat. Yeah. And I'm going, that doesn't make no sense. You're going to smoke cigarettes, drink beer, and not eat a taco. Are you freaking kidding me? But they were happy. They were happy to do the whole ceremony. And I got it on video. It's actually cool. I think it's a cool memory. So I'm an atheist Jew, and but I don't know Hebrew, and I never studied any of that stuff. My maternal grandparents left LA in the, I want to say, very late 40s or possibly the very early 50s during the communist scare and the whole, it wasn't cool to be a certain kind of Jew or a certain kind of leftist and blah, blah, blah. They left. Yep. And my mom was told, you're an American. That's the end of the discussion. So she didn't know nothing about Judaism or anything. She was never raised that way.
Right.
So,
which is weird. I mean, if you believe in the Bible's like part 2, sort of. I mean, from the Old Testament, then it's the next step up, right?
Well, it would have been so.
Like
so
trilogy.
Imagine I wouldn't have my kids. My life would be different. So I'm not that bitter, but I'm always a little bit bitter that I didn't grow up in Hollywood as a Jew and getting the movies and shit, because my great grandfather was a movie producer, and had they not had that red McCarthy era of all that bullshit that happened, and they had stayed there, both my maternal grandparents were both tall, handsome, and they would have probably gone into I'm not saying they'd be movie stars, but they would have had connections. They would have been in the business, and for sure they would have at least sent me to school. So instead of my kids being lawyers, I would have been a lawyer, and my kids would have rebelled, and they would have ended up being drug addicts. So I guess it's worked out. It worked out better.
Worked out for the better.
Instead, I was a derelict dropout, and my kids turned out okay.
The kids hit you with the Uno reverse card.
Yes, they hit me. Yeah, no, it's amazing. I finished not even one semester of state college, and then I got my girlfriend pregnant, and we got married, and that went into construction work, which I hated. But so I have no advanced degrees, no knowledge. It's not like I'm stupid, but I'm not educated. And all three of my kids said, "Yeah, Dad, you gave us a good example. None of us want to be like you." And they tell me that all the time. Yeah, we just look at you and we do the opposite. I'm like, okay, fine. So they all have advanced degrees. In fact, my one daughter has like 4 degrees. She has a master's. She's the one that just finished law school in Austin. She had a master's from Chapel Hill before that, and a business degree before that, and a design degree before that. And then my son got the law degree. So they're all super smart and educated. So we'll see. Maybe this fourth one will end up being a derelict, beer drinking, weed smoking.
All right.
Yeah.
We need more.
We need more. Yeah. My Mexican kid will be the one that just totally plays the stereotype. Like
throws a wrench into the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, all he or she has to do is follow in his or her mother's footsteps, because she's super responsible now. But boy, at 14 and 15, when she was, having sex and smoking dope and drinking beer and not caring about school. I asked her one time, like, what? She told me she did some work. She would get up early and she would sell hamburgers at school. She was actually very industrious. One of the reasons that I really love her. And I said, well, what did you do with all that money? Because you were earning more money than like a middle-class worker, like an adult with a family. And she says, I was the one with all the money. So I was the one buying all the beer and weed for my friends. So that was her teen years.
I could have used a friend like that growing up.
Yeah. Can you imagine? She was making really good money, and she's super generous too, which is another reason that I really connect with her.
I totally didn't have one of those friends when I was underage, because that was illegal.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, it sounds like finding your way free from your previous beliefs actually worked out in the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is another thing I tell Christians. I said, look, if Christianity was true, you'd kind of expect Christian marriages to be a little happier, or addictions to be a little less, or people to be more satisfied with their work, like anything, just any metric. But here's the thing. They can't lie to me. I was part of it. I knew the pastors. My mom was a pastor. I know they're miserable. They're depressed. And not everybody, of course, but come on, you guys
saw lots of examples of
I saw lots of examples of bad marriages and unhappy marriages and depression and addiction and lies. And you can't go to lunch the next day with your friends like I can now and tell them what kind of porn you're watching. You can't do that. And if you get off base here, like I could go to my friends and say, hey, my relationship's having problems because I'm jerking off to weird porn. And they'd say, well, okay. They wouldn't judge me is my point here. They would say,
right.
Like, why don't you fuck your girlfriend more instead of watching porn? Like,
what? Give me that link so I could see what you're talking about. This is I can't believe you would do something like this. Yeah. Give me that link right now.
Give me it.
Yeah. Throw it over in the private chat. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll be right there. So yeah, I mean that whole thing of coming out. So what I tell Christians is I say, I'm happier now. I'm better adjusted. I have better friends. I have a better life. I've made more money. I've been more satisfied in my work. When I'm not making money, I'm happier. I'm not worried, as far as you know. Yeah. Well, I'll have to admit,
people.
considering how wild I am, my porn is pretty plain. It's boring actually. But not my girlfriend, on the other hand. We won't talk about her because she's not in the room. But yeah,
she's girlfriends. Yeah, throwing stuff all over my office.
As long as you don't eat it afterwards.
Is that like don't cook the kid in the mother's milk kind of thing?
That's something along those lines.
Along those lines. You can eat the goat or you can fuck the goat, but you can't eat and fuck the goat. That seems reasonable. Actually,
it's like chicken noodle soup with an egg in it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, you put the fucking baby in its mother's broth. It's wrong, man. Just wrong.
It's fucking delicious. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we got one last question for you. We always ask everybody before we wrap up. If you could go back in time and talk to believer you, what advice would you give them? What would you whisper in their ear?
Is there at what point in time, like my early believer self or my middle?
when you're in that like doubting phase.
Oh, okay.
And this is more or less for people who are watching who might be sitting on the fence.
Yeah.
You're on the other side of it. You've gone through it. So what would you tell you? Maybe not them, but
Yeah,
yourself
sure.
at that time. What do you think would have been what you needed to hear?
Yeah, I think what I
Take
what I
more
would
acid.
say. Yeah, that's it. Eat some. Yeah, eat. No, I mean that's actually that's a serious answer, but I wouldn't say that. I mean, you do have a little acid or mushrooms do give you a way. It's not like you're thinking straight, but your mind takes on a different thought process.
Yes, it changes
And
your thought
later,
process.
it's later when you're talking about what you experienced is where, in my opinion, the revelations come.
Yeah.
But I would that wouldn't be my advice. What I would tell
Revelations.
myself is you have to believe, since you've done no studying, you've done no reading, and you don't know anything, you have to believe you just landed in the right religion. And how?
Yeah.
Either A, you got really lucky, or B, God picked you and not all those other people. And do you want to be the kind of guy that gets the sandwich and eats it in front of your friend who's hungry? Do you want to be that guy? I don't want to be that guy.
Don't be that
I
guy,
never
right.
want to be that guy. If I'm with my friend and he's hungry, I'm going to cut my sandwich in half, period. So that's what you got to think about, because even if you're right and woo, God picked you, do you really want to be part of that crowd? I don't. I don't want to be part of the crowd that's happy that other people are in hell or don't have a good relationship with God because he didn't share himself with them. Like if I happen to be lucky and be in the right place, I'm not happy about it because it's not fair to everybody else. And most likely on the odds, I'm in the wrong one anyways. So I would tell myself that. Think about what it means that you didn't use any thought process to get here. It's just your mom took you to this church and you felt good and you felt happy. And when you read the Bible, it wasn't to study whether it was true. It was to find out what you're supposed to do.
To follow along with what he was reading out loud to you. That's about it.
Exactly. The social pressure. Just think about how much social pressure and getting along, and the potlucks are nice and people are nice to you. How that influenced why you are. You have to be very, very, very lucky to happen to be in the right place for that to be the true one out of all the choices.
Out of the thousands and out of the thousands that you'll never get a chance to interact with because they're gone.
Right.
Like none of those could have been the true religion because they're extinct, right? Like,
yeah,
and
exactly.
you never got a chance to even experience it.
Yeah, totally.
Like
yeah. So, and the thing is, I don't know, thinking of my own mindset, I don't know if I would have listened to myself, but I'd like to think that I would. I mean, I'd like to think that I would listen to myself. That I would try.
If I was confronted by older me coming back to tell me something, I would
take his eyeball.
Okay, I'm probably gonna take his eyeball. I'm probably gonna want to listen because he's obviously telling me this for a reason.
Yeah, like whoa.
If he's from the future, then he knows something already. I should probably listen.
I just pull a quantum reality sheet, and I go back to talk to little Mikey, and I'm just like, they are watching you, and then I close it back. And then
Orwell was right.
Yeah,
they're on to you. Run.
Everything's a lie. There's no hope.
They know that you know. They know that you know. They know you're faking your religion. They're gonna come for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, Michael, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with Mikey and I. As you know, we do after parties. Now, you're not obligated to show up for it, but if you're willing to hang out for a little bit longer, then
sure.
I know there's people in the audience that would like to say hi to you and they're fans of yours. Some of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
My little red phone is ringing off the hook with people wanting the link for the after party.
That's right, folks. If you do want to be a part of the after party, just send this fella right here a note or an email or something. Or you can hit me up as well. You just look for all the information in the description box below. If you just want to hang out and watch, there's a link to it in the description box as well. Also, thank you everyone for hanging out with us in the chat. There's some new names I haven't seen before. At least I don't remember seeing.
Yeah, howdy.
Welcome and great to have you here. If you like what we do, then hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. And thanks to our amazing patrons, because we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, and our members as well. And we got quite a few now. So thanks everyone for helping out the show.
We appreciate you guys.
All right. And until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of the interview part of the show, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.